Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all the viewers who have joined us from the various parts of the country and abroad. Today, we have come together for the Virasat Talk 187 under the Indian Knowledge Tradition Lecture Series. The event is conducted in the joint collaboration of the Department of Archaeology and Historical Studies of Heritage Society and Heritage Society Goa Circle. I would I would like to invite the Director General of the Heritage Society, Professor Anant Ashutosh Dwivedi, who is also the chairperson for the today's session, and the keynote speaker for today, Professor Prajal Sakardande, the head of the History Department of the Dhempe College, Miramar, Panji, Goa. He has authored several books, has his notable works in the field of history and heritage in Goa. He is the founder member of the Goa Heritage Group, Action Group, an environmentalist and a heritage activist. The topic for today is history and heritage of Goa from ancient times to 10th century. On behalf of the organizing committee of this program, I, Mayura Neelam Rajesh Thakankar, member of the Heritage Society Goa Circle, welcome you all to this enlightening session. Now I would like to invite the Director General, Professor Anant Ashutosh Dwivedi, sir, for the introductory speech.
Good evening to all of you. Myself, Professor Ananta Sutosh Divedi, Director General of Heritage Society, feels truly fortunate to be part of this august occasions. As we know, today is Krishna Janmashtami. So, first of all, wishing you all a happy Krishna Janmashtami. Krishna Janmashtami, an auspicious festival, is celebrated every year with great fervor across the nation. Day marks the birthday of Lord Krishna, and this is the gift for our participants, our audience also. On the occasion of birthday of Lord Krishna, we have organized this talk, history and heritage of ancient Goa. So this is our 187th episode of lecture series of Virasat Talk. We are very close to double century 200 series. So this is a proud moment for all of the participants, all of the organizing committee members, and we will celebrate our double century lecture series lectures. So we are very close to that. So on the behalf of organizing committee of the 2 days distinguished session, inviting our distinguished speaker, Professor Prajwal Sakardande, head of the Department of History and also associate professor of the history, Dhempe College of Arts and Science, Panji, Goa, to deliver a talk on ancient Goa history and heritage from early time to 10th century CE. Also inviting to all our participants joining us this informative sessions from India and abroad. During our previous discussions with Prajwalji, we are planning to organize a series of lectures on the different themes of Goa heritage. So this is the highly important sessions for all of us and the participants also for organizers too, that Prajwalji has accepted our request to deliver a lecture on early part of the Goa heritage. So without taking much time, now I am requesting and inviting to our 2 days distinguished speaker, Dr. Prajwalji, to deliver a talk. Over to you, Mayura. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dwivedi, sir, for your blessings and kind support for initiating the series of Virasat Talk. Now I am requesting today's distinguished speaker to deliver his talk.
Everyone a very happy and joyous Janmashtami. It's a very auspicious occasion to begin the talk series, my talk series on the history and heritage of Goa. Uh, my sincere thanks to Professor Anant Ashutosh Dwivedi for this warm invitation. Thanks to my former student of history, Miss Mayura Kamath, uh, for inviting me and for that introduction. With that, I would like to begin my presentation, the first part in the series on Goa, that is titled History and Heritage of Goa from Ancient Times up to the advent of the Kadambas. This is my book called Goa Gold, Goa Silver, Her History, Her Heritage from earliest times 2019. Pre-Portuguese Goa. Now, pre-Portuguese Goa can be divided into many sections. Today, I'm going to speak about the pre-Kadamba Goa, that is ancient Goa from earlier times up to the advent of the Kadambas in the mid 10th century. This is the map of Goa. We have 12 talukas and two districts, North Goa district and South Goa district, running into 12 talukas. Etymologically, the first name that we come across is in our mother tongue, Kokani, that is Goi. Goi means a fertile land rich in paddy cultivation, rich in agriculture, and the prefix of Goi, go, is a reference to cow, thereby to agriculture, a land that is cow, and there Gomanta, Gopaka, Gopakapur, Goparashtra, Gorashtra, Goapuri, series of names that we come across, and in most of these names we find that the prefix go is common, that is a reference to cow. Now, it's a matter of research whether we begin our etymological roots in Prakrit or Sanskrit, precede the Parshuram legend, and precede the arrival of Saraswats in Goa. It is the tribal communities that set up the Gaunkaris during the Neolithic times, but Goa predates to the Palaeolithic age, followed by the Mesolithic age, Megalithic age, the Chalcolithic culture, then the Bronze Age and Iron Age. And we have several cultures defined by her river valleys, such as the Mhadei River Valley culture, the Kushawati River Valley culture, the Zuari River Valley culture, the Dudhsagar River Valley cultures, wherein we find the presence of caves, rock art, tunnels, cave temples, preceding the establishment of the Gaunkari's village communities by the tribal communities in the Neolithic times. Goa is defined by her natural heritage. We have beautiful waterfalls such as this in her various villages of Goa, such as Kuske. The highest mountain peak of Goa is Sosogad or Sosogad. When we trekked to Sosogad in 2004, we found a cave on top of Sosogad, perhaps one of the oldest natural caves of Goa. We discovered an underground tunnel, perhaps one of the ancient sites of Goa. It was a long tunnel. We entered the tunnel in the village called Daboli. It is near the airport in Goa. We have found several caves and tunnels that speak of the Paleolithic times. This is an underground caved chamber that we saw in Izorshi, that we discovered in Izorshi, where we released a ladder and electric bulb. We went to the bottom of this cave, and the archaeologists that were there, they said that it belongs to the megalithic age. Here we found that it was a human-made cave and not a natural one. It had dressed laterite. Now, to what usage these caves were dug for? There are various interpretations. We are in the process of finding out. We are trying to get these caves notified under the Goa State Archaeology or under the ASI. At another set of caves are the caves in Chikali. This is on the way to Vasco City. In this cave, in these underground caves in Chikali village, in the Daboli Panchayat, where the airport is located, Dr. Gritli Mitterwallner, a German lady researcher, she had discovered these caves and she had found potsherds, pieces of pottery. That is the first indication of human life or culture or civilization in Goa, in ancient Goa. The fact that potsherds were found in this underground caves in Chikali indicates that there was human life, and these potsherds are now preserved in the Goa State Museum. We are trying to get these caves notified under state archaeology or under the Archaeological Survey of India and the Biodiversity Committee. At another cave we discovered and we saved it in Thivi. This is near Mapsa. Mapsa is a commercial town a few kilometers from Panjim. And there we found this cave. This is partly this is natural and it's also fashioned by human hands. And we saw a shivling that might have been introduced there later. Perhaps this was a residential cave. And we are very happy that we could save this cave from being demolished. This is the cave temple. As our earliest people, ancient people, used to dedicate various facets of nature. They worship them in caves. These are the cave temples. The earliest cave temple is in the village of Shigaon, located on the banks of the Dudhsagar river bed. This is dedicated to tiger worship, and locally this deity is called Vagro, meaning tiger. This is an underground cave in the village of Rishivan or Rivana. These are the Chikali caves. Here we have the archaeologists, biodiversity committee, wherein we inspected the site for its notification. This is the top view of the Chikali caves. This is the interior view of the Chikali caves. A beautiful river called the Kushawati in South Goa shows a variety of facets of Goa's heritage. The general perception of people all over the country is that Goa does not have a culture. Only a land of fun and frolic. We have a rich culture. We have these river valley cultures. And here I'm speaking about Kushawati river valley culture. In fact, the first capital of Goa, that is Chandrapur or Chandor in South Goa, near Margao, was located on the banks of Kushawati river. Recently, this site on the banks of the Kushawati, in a hamlet called Pansaimal, I appeal to everyone, if you visit Goa, do visit this site, which is declared as now on the tentative list of UNESCO's World Heritage. This is the second World Heritage site in Goa, in a hamlet called Pansaimar in South Goa, in the village of Dhandole. So this is the Kushawati Heritage Trail, which I always do with my students of history. And here, on the laterite bed, are depicted petroglyphs. Petra meaning rock, and glyph is art. This is rock art, ancient rock art. We do not know its age. People believe that it is thousands of years old. And here you see the depiction of a humped bull, zebu bull, and a deer locked in a battle, locking their horns. It's a very beautiful sight. On one laterite bed, on the banks of Kushawati, we find these petroglyphs. This is a peacock. You can see the beak, the crown, and the contours of the body. On the same side, contiguously, we see this rock art in Pansaimar, also known as Uzgaimar. Across the Kushawati river is Uzgaimar, but this entire site is popularly known as Uzgaimar, Pansaimar. And I appeal to every Indian, every visitor to Goa, every foreign visitor to Goa, do make a visit to this beautiful rock art heritage site in south of Goa, located in a forest. This is a human figure. You can see the contours of the body. This is a maze or a labyrinth where you find concentric circles. This is open to interpretation. Various interpretations are available of this site. It may be associated with shamanistic rituals or rituals connected with ancient Goa, may be connected with astronomical calculations. We do not know. It's open to interpretation. Various theories are floated. This is a zebu bull that is seen at the same site. Let us not dismiss this as rock bruisings. These are beautiful carvings, chiseled on the megalithic stone in the megalithic age. At another site, on the banks of Kushawati, is in the village of Kajur or Kajra. I'm showing you the lesser known Goa or the unknown Goa. Most people talk about a one-liner that Portuguese ruled over Goa for 451 years. Hardly people talk about our rich pre-Portuguese past, ancient Goa. Ancient Goa was rich in culture, rich in cultural heritage, as I'm showing you. In the village of Kajra or Kajur in Kepen Taluka, you find a huge rock. It's called Duda Fator, literally translating as milkstone. On it, we find beautiful carvings of antelope from the family of the deer. And this is worshipped now. People regard it as a sacred stone. These were carvings done by the unknown artist. We do not know who they were. And we have no way of knowing, because on the laterite stone at Pansaimal, it is difficult to employ carbon 14 and carbon 14 dating techniques. This is in the same village, several stone circles in honor of the dead, popularly known as Baitak. At another site in the Mhadei or Mandovi river culture is this rock art site called Maushi or Maus. On the rock, a bull is depicted. And on many of these rocks, on the Zarme river bed of the Mandovi river, the most popular river in Goa, famous river in Goa, Mandovi, you will find that in this taluka of Sattari, in the eastern side of Goa, you have this village called Maushi. at the foot of the Sahyadris or the Western Ghats. On the eastern side of Goa are located the Western Ghats because they are on the western side of India. We find rock carvings. In the village of Shigaon, one of the oldest villages of Goa, we have megaliths. We have stone memorials in honor of the dead chieftains of the village. They are variously known as Barazan, 12 villagers. Later on, they are precursor to the panchayat system. In the village of Azagaon, that is known as village of Valley of Flowers, we find a stone in a pyramidical shape that is known as katar. Katar meaning scissor. In our Konkani language, we call it katar. Now, this is a stone which is demarcating the boundaries of 3 villages. Our ancient people in Goa worship Mother Earth in the form of a mound of earth or the termite hill called the Rohin locally, that is Rohini, Mother Goddess, Mother Earth. And later on, she was given the name of Sateri or Sater, a symbolic of Mother Earth. This is in the village of Virdi in northern Goa. The female genital organs were also worshipped in the form of yoni. The tallest icon of Betar, the local folk deity, in the village of Lolien in the southernmost taluka of Goa called Konkan. This is a ancient sculpture, one of the tall images of the local folk deity called Betar. He is also regarded as the guardian local folk deity, the Rakhandar. The first fort of Goa is Chandrapur, located in the first capital of Goa, Chandrapur. Perhaps this fort was built during the Bhoj period, or maybe earlier during the Satvahan period, or maybe during the Kadamba period. Research is on. The Archaeological Survey of India had conducted some excavation close to the fort. Now only a mud ramification remains. Only the mud ramparts of the fort remains. And very close to this fort is the 11th century Kadamba era temple. In fact, 2 temples were discovered here. One by Father Henry Harras of the Harras Institute, Bombay, and the other by Archaeological Survey of India. While they were excavating, they found a Nandi here, and they also found an underground temple dating to the Shatvahan period because of the presence of the Shatvahan coin. In 150 CE, Gautami Putra Shatkarni, the Shatvahan king, had attacked Goa and Konkan and made Goa part of his kingdom. We do not have inscriptional evidence for this, but they found a coin of the Shatvahan era, 150 CE, and hence it was concluded that before the first historically known dynasty of Goa, the Bhoj, there might have been Shatvahans. Folklore also has it that one of the Dharmadikaris of Samrat Ashok, Purna or Punna by name, Purna meaning the complete one, was a Buddhist missionary in Goa. From this, it was believed that Goa might have come under the sway of the Maurya dynasty from Magad, modern day Bihar. We do not have sufficient evidence to prove this, but there is folklore, there is numismatic evidence about Shatvans. These are dynasties that predated the first historically known dynasty of Goa by way of inscriptional evidence, that is the Bhoj. And the Bhoj dynasty had their capital in Chandrapur, that is today's Chandor. Portuguese named Chandrapur as Chandor. It is in South Goa, accessible from Margao, one of the southern chief towns of Goa. We find here various temples. There are various temples in Goa. The general belief is that Goa only has churches. That is not true. Goa has a large number of temples, beautiful temples. One such temple, in its ruined form, also gives an irresistible look. This particular temple is located in the remote village of Vichunre, again on the banks of the Kushawati. Here I am talking about the Kushawati River Valley culture. Here we have a beautiful icon of 10th century CE dating to the Shilahar Kadam period. More plausible Shilahar because the Shilahars were worshippers of Vishnu. Next to this is a temple built during the Kadamba period. So here you have the worship of Vishnu, and at the side you have worship of Shiva. And there is the beautiful Garud also, which was the emblem of the Shilahars. The Shilahars came from Maharashtra, and there were three Shilahar families, such as the North Konkan Shilahar, South Konkan Shilahar, and the Kolhapur Shilahars. Of this, North Konkan Shilahars and the South Konkan Shilahars ruled over Goa. Now, as part of the Kushawati Heritage Trail, I'm talking of the Shilahars here, and the beautiful icon of Narayan Dev with a beautiful Prabhaval, that is halo at the back. This is one of the most beautiful icons of a deity in Goa. Much before the Shilahars, as I was talking of the Bhoj kings, then came the Konkan Maurya kings, then came the Badami Chalukyas, then came the Shilahars, and then came the Kadambas. This is a lovely site in South Goa called the Budbudanchi Tali, that is the lake of bubbles. This is a beautiful pond, not more than a lake, it is a pond, I would say, adjacent to the Gopinath temple. The Gopinath temple was again built by the Shilahars originally, dedicated to Lord Krishna. And today, on the Janmashtami day, we are remembering Lord Krishna. This pond of bubbles, I'm showing this Shilahar sites because when I do the Kushawati Heritage Trail with my students, all this comes in one sequence and chronology. So when any person from outside Goa would like to visit Goa, do make a visit to the Kushawati heritage sites, such as this one in the village of Netravali in Sangye Taluka. Sati stones. Ancient Goa shows a number of Sati stones, especially of the early medieval period. You'll find here a number of Sati stones dating to ancient times and early medieval period. Sati was a practice all over the country, and in Goa we have a large number of Sati stones commemorating the death of women that went Sati. It's a very cruel practice where the woman was forced to immolate herself on the funeral pyre of her husband at his death. with the belief that she would unite with him for 7 lives. And here, if you look closely, observe the Sati stone closely. This is in the village of Kolam as part of the Kushawati Heritage Trail. You will find a woman's raised hand. You'll also find small icons of the sun and the moon, that with the philosophy that the woman will be united with her husband for 7 lives till the sun and the moon exist. So number of Sati stones are seen in various parts of Goa. The earliest people living in Goa were the tribal communities such as the Kunbis, the Proto-Australoid Munda stock that spoke Konkani, our mother tongue. This is the Kunbi sari, the red checked sari. These were the Hindu Kulmis or Kulwa that were later on converted to Christianity by the Portuguese. Gaudas, Vapes. Now these are nomenclatures of the same Kunbi racial stock in different parts of Goa. A Vape and a Gauda women dressed in the traditional attire. Fish is the staple food of Goa, and the fishermen and the fisherwoman play a very important role. The staple food of Goa is rice, fish, fish curry, locally available vegetables. And here you find the local fishermen getting a huge catch of fish, and the fisher women selling fish in the market. The different types of food. You have the most famous fish of Goa, the bangdo. We eat a variety of shellfish such as the tisrio, kube, shinani, kalwa, crabs. Earthen utensils in which rice was cooked, fish curry was cooked, and at the back you see the gurgulet, the water canteen in which the water remained cool and it acted as a natural refrigerator. You have the coconut ladle, you have the earthen bowl for the pears or the kanji. People had that food on dried jackfruit leaves pinned together and also on banana leaves. This is a popular dessert in Goa. Popular dessert in Goa, not desert, sorry, dessert called satwa, which is made of nashni, another popular food. So Goa has a number of desserts and number of food items. This is the staple food of Goa, where you have rice, fish curry, fried fish, local vegetables such as the tamdi bhaji, and here you have the pink sol curry. The Goan goldsmiths made a variety of ornaments, beautiful ornaments. Goa has a number of communities, and in ancient times, these communities got divided into castes. So number of peoples lived in Goa professing different communities, and that evolved later on into a caste system. This is a beautiful design called the Kavi art. Kavi art is a pre-Portuguese art before the arrival of the Portuguese. Using the pigment from the red soil content of Goa called uramunji or cow, this type of designs were chipped on the walls of the temples. One such temple we managed to save in North Goa in the village of Agarwado, Pedne. And this was dedicated to Chetrapal, the local folk deity. This was the temple. We got it conserved. We had a campaign for it, and here you find the icon of Ganpati in the Kavi art. That is an art that was flourishing in Goa much before the arrival of the Portuguese. During the Portuguese time, we have the graffito art. That is red oxide during Portuguese times, and this is the red pigment in the soil called uramunji. This is yet another temple dedicated to Mulvir. There are various folk deities in Goa. One such folk deity is Mulvir, where on the walls of this temple in northern Goa, in the village of Malpe in Pedne Taluka, the northernmost taluka of Goa, you find on the ceilings scenes from Ramayana, Mahabharat, and the avatars of Vishnu. By using natural dyes as well as the carve. Beautiful river called Mhadei, also known as Mandovi. This is my village called Ambeshi. Ambeshi village is in Bicholin Taluka. In spite of the mining around it, it has remained beautiful and green. It is on banks of the river Mhadei or Mandovi. This is an ancient temple in my village dedicated to Shivanath with a Shivling. We have a number of temples dedicated to Shiva or Shivlings. This is built of laterite stone, and the Shivling is made of basalt. The state heritage tree is coconut. The state tree of Goa is matti, but the state heritage tree is coconut. And coconut is used, kalpavruksha, for a variety of, it has a variety of usages. In Goa, you cannot imagine you cannot imagine the fish curry without the coconut. Plus, the coconut curry that is made using the skin of the kokum fruit. There is a fruit available in Goa called kokum, which is popular, and a curry is made of that called sol curry. This is with the coconut, and one is without the coconut. So this is the coconut tree, and the person that is climbing the tree here is the reindeer, that is the toddy tapper. He draws the soor from the coconut, makes liquor out of coconut, and also jaggery was traditionally made out of the coconut, and that was used in all the sweet preparations and not sugar. Sugar arrived in Goa in 1878 as a result of the Anglo-Portuguese treaty. Jaggery was used in Goa for all the desserts. This is a beautiful pond which we saved in Gawana, Carmona in South Goa, Lotus Pond. One of the most beautiful icons of ancient Goa is the Gajalakshmi panel seen in the eastern part of Goa in a village called Kudshe. Gajalakshmi is the deity, the local deity, wherein you see here two elephants performing Abhishek and the Gajalakshmi in the center. Gajalakshmi, Gaja meaning elephant, and Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. And you will find on the panel below people celebrating the Gajalakshmi on horseback and with the traditional musical instruments. This is dating to the Kadamba era. Goa has a number of festivals, some local festivals. The most popular one is the Shigmo, celebrating the rich harvest. And here you have a folk festival called Zagor, keeping awake the spirits, the local spirits. Various folk dances are performed during the Shigmo, such as the Talgadi, Gof, Tonyame, Divli Naths. This is the celebration of light. As our beautiful country, India, there is no other country like India. And what we have in India, none of the other countries have. Let us be proud of the fact that we are the only country in the world that celebrates light in the form of Diwali, that celebrates color in the form of Holi, that celebrates harvest in the form of Baisakhi. So we have inherited a rich cultural heritage. And here we have the Divli Naths celebration of light by using these traditional lamps in Goa. The Taranga, Ghode Modni, is a warrior dance that happens in Goa commemorating the victory of the kings. Veerabhadra, this is an influence of Karnataka. Again, it is a folk dance that has dynastic influence of the Kadamba and the Vijayanagar period. The invocation is in Kannada. Dhalo is a folk dance that is performed by the women in the month of Paush, corresponding to January and February. Women celebrate the joys and happiness of life through various stories, some stories of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, the abduction of Sita, her release, Fugdi, another folk dance performed by women. The tribal community of the Gaulis or the Dhangars celebrate their joys in the form of Chapai or Pandaritsa Pava. They worship a formless deity called Pandir, Malchi Pandir. This photograph is not of a stage performance, but I went to the village of Maroli and witnessed this beautiful performance, a warrior dance of the Gauri and the Dhangar community. I'm trying to show you the other side of Goa, the unseen side of Goa, the lesser known side of Goa. We have Kalshi Fugdi dancing with pots, celebrating water. Every facet of nature is celebrated. Water, that is Jivan, life. We have the festival of ghosts called Bhutanchi Jatra in Narve, Bicholi, where the spirits of Hindu women that died in childbirth, that is invoked here. We have various exorcist festivals such as this. Worship of the crocodile that happens in two villages of Goa, Tarauli and Bhoma, in the Ponda Taluka. The most beautiful shivling, I have used the superlative of the most because I have not come across any other shivling as beautiful as this in Goa. It is beautifully chiseled, showing a toran, mango leaves, and at the bottom there is the face of Lalana, the goddess of beauty. This is in the village of Ravan. We have villages named after Ravan. Here you have the village of Ravan in the eastern part of Goa in Sattari. This icon of Ganpati is dating to the Badami Chalukya period, one of the oldest icon of Ganpati. We are close to the Ganesh festival, and here the chief festival of Goa is Ganesh Chaturthi, locally called as Chavat, because it is celebrated on the fourth day of the Bhadrapad month. And this icon is dedicated to Ganpati. You can see the beautiful ornamentation on this icon. It is preserved in the Seminary Museum in Pilar by Father Cosme Costa. And here you will find that it is dating to the Badami Chalukya period. I went to Badami and corroborated this, and in the Badami Museum in Karnataka, I could see exactly a similar icon, and then I was convinced that this icon in Goa is of the Badami Chalukya period after the architectural corroboration. Parshuram, I've spoken about him, that he settles 96 Saraswat families in Goa. It's a legend, its history, its heritage. Various rituals are performed. The Aryanization of Goa, the Sanskritization of Goa, you have the pre-Hindu tribal communities worshipping nature. Then you have the Sanskritization, and you have later conversion of many Hindus to Roman Catholicism. This is the beautiful festival dedicated to nature, to ecology, to environment, to knowledge, the god of ecology and environment, the god of knowledge, Ganapati. And in Goa, we have a tradition of the matoi, a canopy of the locally found roots, fruits, and vegetables that are found here in the month of Shravan and Bhadrapad. They are celebrated. Every aspect of Ganpati celebration is scientific, therapeutic, symbolic, and cultural. Various dynasties ruled Goa. I've already spoken about the Bhoj dynasty, the first historically known dynasty from the 4th to the 6th century CE. We do not know whether they were local or they came from Karnataka, because in the inscription of the first king of Goa, Devraj Bhoj, he is referred to as Devraj Bhoj Gominam. From the word Gominam, from the suffix of Gominam, it's quite possible that it might have been a local dynasty, one does not know, or maybe from Karnataka. Various Bhoj kings ruled over Goa, such as Prithvi Malla Varman, Kapali Varman, Asankita Varman. The Bhoj were followed by the Konkan Maurya kings, the descendants of the original Mauryas, that ruled Goa in the 7th century CE, followed by the Badami Chalukyas. Now, as you know, that the Mauryas came from Magad, that is Bihar, and the Mauryas set up an all India empire. The first empire of India was the Maurya Empire. The first emperor of India was Chandragupta Maurya, followed by Bindusar and Ashok, and many other kings. Ashok had spread Buddhism in various parts of India and Asia. the first emperor of India, Chandragupta Maurya. And the Maurya ruled from 322 BCE to 185 BCE. And the period of Ashok was 232 272 BCE to 232 BCE. And perhaps the descendants of the Mauryas that ruled ancient Goa were called Konkan Mauryas because Goa was part of Konkan. Here is a reference to two kings, Chandravarman and King Anirjitavarman. After that, you have the Badami Chalukya dynasty from Karnataka. Karnataka is our neighbor. Maharashtra is our neighbor. So the Badami Chalukyas from the Karnataka region ruled over Goa in the 7th century CE. There were various rulers. The first woman ruler of Goa was Queen Vijay Bhattarika or Queen Vijay Mahadevi. In fact, two dynasties ruled over Goa in the 7th century, Konkan Mauryas and the Badami Chalukyas. After that came the Shilaharas from Maharashtra region between the 8th to the 10th century CE. Now we do not use the term AD, we use the term CE, that is the common era. But for the understanding of people, I have used the term AD, which was done earlier. Now we use the terminology BCE, before common era, and CE, that is common era. This is the inscription of the first Bhoj king, of the first historically known first king of Goa, Devraj Bhoj. I have seen this inscription, held it in my hand, and this inscription is a land grant to a priest. This is a beautiful temple on a hill in Goa, in South Goa, in a village called Paroda. The Bhoj kings built this temple very close to their capital of Chandrapur. And this is a hill temple. It is in the form of a cave. On the cave temple, this superstructure was built. It was rebuilt by the Kadam in the 11th century, and there is also a shrine dedicated to Bhutanath here. Goa has many exorcist rituals, I have said. One such festival or ritual is the Shisharani, where rice is cooked on their heads of the Gade, that is the man in trance. They go in trance, and this festival is dedicated to the local folk deity Malkazan or Mallikarjun. This happens in the southern taluka of Goa called Konkan. Yet another exorcist festival is the festival of thieves, where men are buried inside the ground and some heads are exposed with their torso buried in the ground. It's called Chorotsav. These are unique exorcist rituals and festivals in Goa. This is in the eastern part of Goa, in Sattari Taluka, in two villages of Dharme and Karanjol. This is the ritual of Vade Kadap. He dips his hand in the hot boiling vessel and draws vade. Vade is a kind of a savory of ancient Goa. The Bhoj kings built these caves dedicated to the Shivling or Shiva. The most popular caves in Goa that one must visit while in Goa are the Harvale caves. And the inscription of the Bhoj king Kapali Varman, dating to the 6th century CE, talks about the Harvale caves and the waterfall called Udakpat. It's a Sanskrit term meaning waterfall. While on a visit with Madam Romila Thapar, the foremost historian of India, according to her, these are the Buddhist caves, and later on, Shivlings were introduced. One does not know because the inscriptional evidence shows that these were built by the Bhoj king Kapali Varman. And one of the inscriptions, there is the mention of Shambalur Vasi Ravi, meaning the old name of this village, Harvade, was Shambalur, and Ravi is son. This is while we were taking around Professor Romila Thapar. One of the oldest inscriptions in Goa, in the Brahmi script. According to the house, it is written there, Badami Chalukya. One does not know, maybe Badami Chalukya or maybe early Kadambas. This is located in the village of Chandrapur or Chandor, the first capital of Goa. The second capital of Goa was Goapuri Gopakpattan, today known as Goa Velya. And this was a flourishing port during the Shilahar period and later the Kadamba period. With the entry of the Kadambas from Karnataka, Goa enters a new phase of history from mid-10th century up to the advent of the Bahamanis. In Goa, the villages during the Kadamba period were known as Hardis, and the Kadambas ruled over Goa from 980 CE to 1356 for a period of 3.5 centuries. So we have these various dynasties that ruled over Goa, the peopling of Goa, the various communities that resided in Goa, and thus it fills me with a sense of pride to tell you that Goa has a rich cultural history, a rich cultural heritage. That dates you from the prehistoric times, Palaeolithic age, up to mid 10th century, as was the topic of today's discussion. In Goa, we sign off by saying Dev Barekoru in Kokni. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for this informative talk. It was very insightful for me, and I believe the viewers too who have joined us today. Now, I would like Professor Dwivedi to give his concluding remarks.
Thank you, Mayura. First of all, I wholeheartedly congratulate to our distinguished speaker, Prajwal Sakardandeji, for discussing on the highly demanding topic that is ancient Goa heritage, history and heritage. As we know, Heritage Society has organized a series of lectures on the different themes of the Indian knowledge systems. And as I have remembered, in last 2 years, we have organized 2 lectures on the different topics of Goa. One lecture just last month we have organized, and last year we have organized. A relic casket was found, queen of foreign ruler, and the Indian government had donated that relic casket to that too. So this is the third important, highly important lecture on the ancient Goa history and heritage. So, first of all, many thanks to our esteemed speaker, Prajwalji, for presenting such an incredible talk this evening on the theme, as I have mentioned in this lecture series. It is believed that known for sea beaches among the youths of India and abroad too. But your presentation brought us several uniqueness of Goa. The importance of these sites, these intangible heritage, are hardly discussed in the common masses. Other part of the country, it is believed that in Goa we can see only churches and forts because they don't know the importance of Goa rural heritage of Goa also, because they visit in the cities and they see there are numerous sea beaches, there are a number of churches and forts also of different time periods. But our parents must have been surprised to know that the outstanding universal value of rock art on the bank of Kushawati that has been listed in the tentative category of World Heritage Site. We are not we were not aware regarding that the Goa has tradition of rock art too. There is not to say that the Goa is having continuous cultural sequences starting from the Stone Age cultures, and we have shown a number of slides on the different archaeologically and historically speaking, the pictures of ancient Goa in your presentations have allowed us to pay a virtual tour of different places of the region. Along with your presentations has also discussed tunnels, caves, rock arts, sculptures, temples, cultural assemblages of tribes, etc. Many more. And also highlighted its uniqueness too. We are privileged to hear you, sir. Thank you very much on the behalf of Heritage Society. And during presentation, I was thinking that Heritage Society should take some projects on the lesser known heritage of Goa, and we will be happy to invite some scholars, distinguished scholars from that region to engage in that project, and the future heritage students too, because they have to engage also in the project, the students and the research scholars. I think there is a need of documentation of lesser knowledge of Goa, because presently I am in Bihar and I am a student of archaeology, but I am not very much aware that the importance of uniqueness of Christian heritage of Goa. We read in our classes, in our textbooks, the very highlights of the Christian heritage of Goa, but we are not aware in deeply we have not studied. So Heritage Society has interested and willing to work on some projects on the lesser known objects, and during this lecture we think that some of our students also and the participants too and the eminent scholar will take interest to work on those projects, because I personally am very much interested to work on the tribal culture, because day by day that culture is being modernized. So in a coming generation, in a coming time, we will not be able to document the uniqueness of the particular tribes, the cultural assemblages, cultures of the tribes too. And I am also interested to work on the sculptures on the Goa of different time period. And I have some question in my mind that what is the time period of the earliest sculptures of Goa? So, because in Middle India and Middle Ganga plain, we date the sculpture from 3rd century BCE, from the Mauryan time period, Yakshini, Yaksh, etc. Asokan pillar also. But what is, I am very much interested to know that what is the scenario in Goa? From which time period we get the sculpture? Do you have any references? I am requesting you, sir, please.
Yes, in Goa, as I have mentioned, I have shown the sculpture of Ganesh. That is dated to the Badami Chalukya period. That is 7th century CE. Now, I was not easily convinced that it is 7th century CE, but when I was doing my MPhil, I did corroborative architectural. I needed architectural evidence, so I went to Badami, and that's where I saw the same icon there. and that was also dated to the 7th century, and it was written there. It is Badami Chalukya period. So that is of the Bhoj era. We do not find many sculptures. So we can date the sculptures of Goa from the 7th century CE onwards. Uh, so
Okay.
I would say from the Badami Chalukya period, we are in a position to see. But I would also state that uh, before the Badami Chalukyas, the shivlings that are there, the shivlings that are there, uh, which I have shown in Harvale caves. In Harvale caves, you find those shivlings. Now they are dating to the 6th century era. So 6th century CE, according to the inscription of Kapali Varman, there is a mention of shivlings, and there is another cave called Lamgaon caves, in which there is a shivling which is again dated to Bhoj king Asankita Varman. So we have sculptures. Uh, I mean, the shivlings uh, from the Bhoj period, and then we have proper icons or proper sculptures of the idols, I mean, of the gods and goddesses from Badami Chalukya period. So uh, here again, now sculptures, when you take shivling as a sculpture, then I would definitely say from the Bhoj period, that is from, I would say, 6th century CE. Bhoj period begins from 4th to the 6th century, but we have shivlings from 6th century CE. But the proper, in the form of icons or the figures of gods and goddesses from Badami Chalukya period. So, however, we have to say that the sculptural finds begin, I would say, from the Bhoj period, which is the first historically known dynasty or the first historically known period, due to the presence of due to the presence of the inscription of the first king of Goa, that is so known historically, Devraj Bhoj. So after that Devraj Bhoj, you have Prithvi Varman, then you have Kapali Varman, then you have Asankita Varman. So the sculptures I would date from, if you take shivlings as the sculptures, then from the Bhoj period, and icons of gods and goddesses from Badami Chalukya period, and then we have sculpture of kings and queens from Kadamba period.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And from the rock cut architecture, from which period rock cut architecture starts in that region?
Yeah, now rock cut art, as of now, we believe that it is of megalithic age. Like some of the archaeologists who are with me, they said it is megalithic age, and many scholars have expressed their opinion that it is megalithic age. Some say it is mesolithic age, but that it is megalithic age sounds more plausible and convincing, going by the laterite rock arts, the span and the spread, and the availability of so many stone memorials from the megalithic age. I would say that that particular rock art in Pansaimal Uzgaimal, which is now on the tentative list of UNESCO's World Heritage, definitely of the megalithic age, which is preceding the Neolithic age. And then you have the sculptures of the animals and also human figures. So whatever they found, they saw in the wild, they have carved on stone, and these are cannot be dismissed as rock bruisings. They are properly chiseled rock carvings. So, and very beautiful ones, and that is the reason they are now on the tentative list of World Heritage. So I would definitely say it is megalithic age.
Yeah. Thank you. And what is the time period of rock cut caves in that region? There the megalithic
Now
rock cut caves.
that is a bit of a problem, because it is the laterite stone, and laterite stone you cannot employ carbon 14 and 15 dating techniques, as that's what is told to me. So far it has not been dated, so it is very difficult to, like, some people say they are 8,000, some people say 5,000, 6,000, but I am not very much convinced that it is 8,000 and all that. So that is sort of we have not arrived at a proper consensus as to the age of those carvings. So it is in the process. Someday we will be in a position to know its age, maybe through some technique, I do not know, maybe thermoluminescence, or what is the technique, I do not know, but it is in the process.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much once again to our distinguished speaker,
Thank you very much,
Rajat,
Dr.
and we
Dwivedi
will
and
be very much
Mayura.
happy to invite you again to deliver
Yes,
because we are very interested to organize a series of lectures on the uniqueness of Goa, on the different topics of the Goa, and in one lectures we have covered very vast timeline.
right.
It was very difficult for anybody to include all those slides in one presentation from the Stone
Right.
Age culture to the 10th century AD.
Yes.
And you have done very intelligently, I can say very scientifically you have arranged on those slides. So thank you very much, and
Thank you. Thank you very much.
we are privileged to you, and over to you, Mayura. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for your comments on this occasion. I would like to extend my gratitude to everyone present here. I, Mayura Nilam Rajesh Thakankar, on behalf of the Heritage Society and its large family, show my gratitude to our profound speaker, Professor Prajal Sakardandi. I thank you sincerely for accepting our invitation and present a talk on the platform. I also thank our Director General, Professor Anant Ashutosh Dwivedi sir, for actively organizing today's talk and giving us the opportunity to present the knowledge of the Goan heritage and history. Thank you to all the participants watching from different parts of the world. Thank you. Thank you all.